Are you an Iron Chef, Betty Crocker, or maybe a grandma? In this Word Made Digital tutorial, we're going to be talking about systems, structures, and how your natural style works, doesn't work, and how it affects other people on the team so you can work better together to get things done. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Word Made Digital Tutorials. My name is Joanna LaFleur, and this is a whole series of tutorials helping you get better in your church or your charity when it comes to all things communications. And so this tutorial is brought to you by the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities. We wouldn't be able to bring it to you without them. I can't wait to tell you more about them later. But in this video, we're talking about systems, structures, and organizational styles. So I have 3 analogies for you that I want to break down. And if you're part of a team, or whether that's volunteers or paid staff, I want you to bring this conversation to your team, talk about it, see which one is the natural style for each person, figure out how they relate to one another, and then go from there into a better working, productive environment together. We all have styles of natural ways that we work and operate. And when we're working by ourselves, a lot of that works fine. It's the way we've always done it, and it works for us. But of course, as soon as someone else needs to enter your system, or someone else needs to join your team and work with you, or you're trying to pass on or grow what you're doing, gets really hard. So let me break it down. We talked about the Iron Chef, Betty Crocker, or the grandma. These are 3 styles, and I want you to identify which one is closest to what you are. So let's talk about the Iron Chef. Have you ever seen the show Iron Chef? Essentially, the concept is these expert chefs who know a lot about cooking and kitchens are given surprise ingredients, unusual things, and they have to improvise, ad-lib, and figure out how to make a delicious meal out of the random food products that they are given to work with. And so a lot of people, when they work on their own, are like Iron Chefs. That can look like improvise, ad-lib, make it up as you go along. And the reason that you can do that is because you're actually an expert or trained in the thing that you're doing. You have a ton of experience. And so you're actually great to go with the flow, figure it out. And maybe by personality, you love to try new things and just kind of go with it as it comes. But of course, as soon as other people come into that system, there start to be things that start to break down about that. If your natural style is to be like an Iron Chef, to improvise and to really take things as they come, a little bit more reactionary than proactive, then as soon as there's more than just you working on a project or trying to solve a problem in your communications or just really your organization as a whole, things really start to break down, of course. If you're an Iron Chef, it's hard to translate your style, your work, your thinking to other people on the team. Does that resonate with you? Let's talk about the other 2 types of styles and see if these ones might be you. The next style is grandma. And I love this because I think every family has these favorite recipes that are probably from your grandma or a previous generation that are sort of like the family secret. And the problem is a lot of those are in grandma's head. Grandma knows how to make that special dish, the apple pie, the secret sauce, but it's all in her head. She knows it well. And if it's not written down and passed on to the next generation, then the recipe dies with grandma. And I've heard some stories, we've talked about this in live events before, of people who think that their grandma has some amazing secret recipe, and it turns out like their chocolate chip cookie recipe is like literally on the back of the chocolate chip cookie packet, but they thought it was some secret family recipe. But here, the point is, of course, if your natural style is the grandma, what that looks like for you is that everything you do, all your expertise, the way that you operate in your organization, how you get things done, your systems and structures, they're all in your head and they haven't been written down anywhere. Does that resonate with you? That is a lot of people. And for a long time, that works. How you send emails and set that up, how you solve a problem, how you answer a certain question, how you plan an event. For a lot of people, that doesn't get written down anywhere. It lives in their head. But here's the reality. Of course, if you leave the organization, or if you God forbid, get hit by the bus, metaphorically, literally, that dies with you. That goes with you. If something happens to you, all of the ways and the knowledge that you carried with you that worked so well to make the organization successful, it goes with you when you're gone. And so are you that kind of style? Do you resonate that honestly you're a grandma? There's a ton of stuff about how you operate that's never been documented or recorded anywhere. Is that you? The last style, if you're starting to get the trend, we've got the Iron Chef, the grandma, and the last one is what I call Betty Crocker, or maybe you know Duncan Hines. The idea with this is it's a by-the-box recipe. And so in this style, everything's written down. There is a specific way to do things. And if you deviate even a little bit from that recipe, it's probably not going to turn out how you hope. So you grab the cupcake box from the grocery store, you do exactly what it says on the back. There's clear instructions. And if you follow them directly, you're going to have a great cupcake, you're going to have, whatever it is that you're making. But if anything doesn't go well, if maybe the oven isn't the right temperature, you don't have quite exactly the ingredients that it's called for, then the whole recipe starts to break apart. So it's amazing that you have a system and a structure, but if you're the Betty Crocker type, if you don't have exactly what's called for, you actually don't know how to work outside of that. There's no way actually to flex and move around and still make a great recipe without the clear instructions written down. It's actually quite a rigid style and system of operating. Do you resonate with that style, the Betty Crocker, the Duncan Hines style, where you actually have a very specific way you want to see things done? And maybe you've done a great job of documenting that, but to be honest, when things change or when things go outside of your plans, you don't actually respond very well. You're not really sure what to do, or you're just following what the last person, your predecessor, did in your position, but you don't really know how to make it your own. So which of these three most resonates with you? Are you the Iron Chef? Are you the Betty Crocker? Are you the grandma? All of these have their reasons for success and of course their downsides. But what we need on a team is all three of these kinds of styles operating together. So you may resonate with one or two more than the other. Whichever it is, I want you to talk about it amongst your team, whether it's volunteers or staff, and talk about which one is your natural style, and then acknowledge each other's in the room, identify which one you are, and then how you can work together. The strength of the Iron Chef is they can improvise. They can get thrown something at the last minute and they know what to do, but it's harder for them to work with a team to share their expertise. Now, the grandma is amazing too at what she does. She's been doing it forever, but nobody else knows how to do it. She's never written anything down. And so if she leaves, the stuff goes with her. There's no documentation and there's no ways to grow the team, whether it's volunteers or staff, to grow with the organization and make sure more people can do it. And of course, then the Betty Crocker, the Duncan Hines, that box recipe is amazing to go through systems step by step. Those are so important to grow an organization, to do things systematically and make sure they're done consistently well. And a delicious cake is the result. But if anything goes a little bit off, that person, that style of leadership, that kind of organizational style and structure, they don't know what to do with it. Once things kind of go a little bit off, they start to fall apart. So there's pros and cons to each of these, but what we want to do is identify ways that you can work together. If you're the Iron Chef, it's good to bring people alongside of you to train them in how you think. How is it that you improvise? What is it that the way that the Iron Chef and maybe the Betty Crocker, the list making, the system structure, and the Iron Chef can work together in a beautiful way to get things done, but also know what to do when things change, because most plans, we should plan on them not going to plan. And then of course with the grandma, we want to make sure we start documenting and talking to other people in a systematic way, getting down on paper what it is that we know so well, that we do best, so that other people can do it, so that other people can help us do it. Because often we're running around doing everything ourselves simply because nobody else has ever been taught systematically how to do the thing that we are experts at. Which one are you? Which ones are present on your team? Which ones do you need on your team? Maybe those are the kind of people you want to look for next to join your team. And then together, you can actually start to build systems, strategy, and organizational structure towards a future that's going to make everyone more successful. I talk to churches and charities all the time that are exactly going through these kinds of things, huge questions that, ultimately a lot of us have never been trained for. And that's where something like the Canadian Centre for Christian Charity is an amazing partner for you. They are an amazing resource to their members. They act almost like an adjunct staff to your team. They're experts at things like HR and legal governance and taxation, and maybe you have questions that you're not sure about. 4Cs, the Canadian Centre for Christian Charities, is all kinds of resources to help you, including free webinars. if you're working in charity leadership, maybe one of these webinars is great for you. Whether you're new to working in the charity space or you just want to grow stronger in your understanding of how all these things work together. You acknowledge that maybe you're not thinking so much about system structure, so you're so focused on your ministry, on your mission, that you don't know a lot about the methods, and that sort of thing can get you tripped up. And so I want to encourage you to check out a 4Cs webinar that might be perfect for you. The webinar I want you to go check out is called Welcome to Charity Leadership. It's going to give you a rundown of how it all works in Canada. Go to cccc.org/free for this webinar and a ton more resources. Membership to the 4Cs is surprisingly affordable, but whether you want to take advantage of their free resources or their membership, encourage you to check it out. The link will be down in the profile below. Thanks so much for checking out this tutorial. We've got a whole back catalog of tutorials brought to you by organizations like 4Cs because we want to give you the best resources for free, and our partners make that possible. So if you haven't hit subscribe, we would love you to do so here on YouTube because we've got a whole back catalog of tutorials, but also new ones coming out every week. We don't want you to miss a single one. So see you on the next Word Made Digital tutorial.